Welcome to Glisso English. Real life stories.
Have you ever been trapped in a situation where the person taking advantage of you is someone you love? Today we're diving into a story that thousands of people face every day, the family business trap. Imagine working 50 hours a week, earning less than minimum wage, but you can't quit because we're family. How do you escape without ruining your family dynamic? As we follow Leo's journey today, you're going to learn essential English vocabulary for workplace conflict, negotiation, and setting personal boundaries. Listen closely to the dialogue, watch for the key vocabulary on screen, and let's find out how Leo handles Uncle Raymond. Let's begin with Chapter 1, The Golden Opportunity.
Leo sat at his kitchen table, staring at another rejection email. He rubbed his eyes, feeling completely exhausted. For 3 months since graduating from college, his job hunt had been a total disaster. The market was tough, and his confidence was shrinking every day. He was desperate for a break. That evening was the weekly Sunday family dinner at his parents' house. The atmosphere was loud and warm, filled with the delicious aroma of roasted chicken. Leo tried to look cheerful, but he could barely focus on the conversation. "You look stressed, Leo," a loud, confident voice boomed. It was Uncle Raymond, his father's successful older brother. Raymond owned a thriving real estate marketing firm in the city and always wore expensive suits. Leo sighed. "Just the job hunt, Uncle Raymond. It's a struggle out there." Raymond smiled warmly and patted Leo firmly on the back. "Say no more, my boy. Why didn't you come to me sooner? I have an opening at the firm. I need someone smart to help us grow. I'll personally teach you the ropes, and you'll get real-world experience." Leo's heart leaped. "Really? That would be amazing, Uncle Raymond." "Of course. We look out for our own," Raymond said, raising his glass. "We're family, Leo. Your future is safe with me." Leo felt a massive wave of relief wash over him. He smiled genuinely for the first time in weeks, feeling incredibly thrilled. He thought he had just landed the ultimate golden opportunity, completely unaware of the hidden price he would soon have to pay.
On Monday morning, Leo arrived at the office 30 minutes early. He wore his best iron shirt, determined to make an excellent impression on his very first day. The office was modern and energetic, filled with the constant clicking of keyboards and ringing phones. Leo stood in the lobby, his heart beating with a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. Uncle Raymond walked out of his private office holding a steaming cup of coffee and a thick, heavy folder. "Welcome aboard, Leo," Raymond announced loudly, making sure several nearby employees could hear him. "We are thrilled to have you on the team, especially since you are family." He handed the massive folder to Leo, and the sheer weight of it almost made Leo drop it. "Here is your first project," Raymond said with a bright smile. "I want you to take complete charge of our entire social media presence and update our client database." Leo looked at the hundreds of unorganized pages inside the folder and felt a bit overwhelmed. "Wow, this looks like a lot of responsibility for a starting position," Leo noted quietly. Raymond laughed heartily and patted Leo's shoulder. "Nonsense! I trust you, and I know you want to prove your worth to this company. In a fast-paced environment like this, the best way to learn is to jump right into the deep end." Leo nodded, feeling proud that his uncle had so much confidence in his professional abilities. He sat down at his new desk, rolled up his sleeves, and immediately began organizing the messy files. He worked straight through his lunch break, fully committed to doing a perfect job for his family.
Two weeks flew by in a blur of intense, demanding work. Leo was the first person to arrive at the office and frequently the last one to turn off the lights. He routinely worked 50 hours a week, answering emails late at night and updating property listings over the weekend. On Friday afternoon, the accountant walked by and casually dropped a sealed white envelope onto Leo's desk. Leo smiled, feeling a deep sense of pride as he opened his very first official paycheck. However, when he looked at the net amount printed on the paper, his smile instantly vanished. The total number was shockingly low, far less than what he had anticipated for his long hours. He pulled out his phone, opened the calculator app, and began carefully dividing the money by his total hours. Leo stared at the screen in disbelief as he realized he was earning significantly less than the legal minimum wage. A tight, uncomfortable knot formed in his stomach, and he felt a sudden chill run down his spine. He looked across the room toward Uncle Raymond's spacious office, where his uncle was laughing loudly on a phone call. Leo felt confused and deeply hurt, wondering if a mistake had been made by the accounting department. He tried to calm his racing thoughts, taking a deep breath to rationalize the upsetting situation. "It must be a temporary starting rate," Leo whispered to himself, trying desperately to believe his own words. "He promised to look out for me, so there must be a logical explanation for this." He carefully folded the check, slipped it back into his pocket, and decided he needed to speak with his uncle directly. On Monday morning, Leo knocked gently on the open door of Uncle Raymond's spacious office. Raymond looked up from his computer screen and waved his hand, inviting Leo to sit down in a leather chair. Leo cleared his throat, nervously tapping his fingers against his knees as he tried to find the right words. "Uncle Raymond, do you have a quick moment to talk about my first paycheck?" Leo asked quietly. Raymond leaned back in his chair, smiling warmly as if he had been expecting the question. "Of course, Leo. Is everything okay with your finances?" Raymond asked with a tone of deep concern. Leo took a deep breath. "Well, I did the math, and my hourly rate is significantly below the legal minimum wage." Raymond laughed heartily, waving his hand in the air as if Leo had just told a funny joke. "Oh, Leo, you are looking at this like a regular employee, not like a member of this family," Raymond said smoothly. He walked around his large desk, stood next to Leo, and patted him firmly on the back. "We all make sacrifices to build this business, and right now the company's budget is very tight. I'm investing my personal time to teach you the business, which is worth more than any standard salary." Leo felt a wave of confusion wash over him, realizing his uncle was deliberately avoiding the legal reality. "I understand that, Uncle Raymond, but I still have to pay my rent and buy my own groceries," Leo countered gently. Raymond's smile tightened slightly, and his tone became a bit more sharp and manipulative. "Think about the big picture, Leo. When the company wins, you win, because this legacy will belong to you one day." Leo left the office with a heavy heart, realizing he had just been given the unfair family discount excuse.
2 months quickly passed, and the initial excitement of the job completely disappeared. Leo was utterly exhausted, trapped in a relentless routine of endless tasks and late nights. Every day followed the exact same painful pattern, and true burnout was rapidly setting in. He watched his cousins, Raymond's children, arrive late to the office driving brand-new luxury cars. They took long, expensive weekend vacations while Leo worked through Saturdays just to keep up with the workload. Meanwhile, Leo's bank account was dwindling, and he could barely afford his basic rent and weekly groceries. He had to skip dinners with his college friends because he simply did not have the extra cash. A toxic feeling of bitterness began to grow deep inside his heart, replacing his old sense of pride. He started to deeply resent his uncle's constant lectures about hard work and family loyalty.
Every Sunday night, Leo felt a heavy, dark cloud of anxiety settle over his chest. He absolutely dreaded going to work every single morning, forcing himself out of bed with a sigh. The office no longer felt like a golden opportunity, it felt like a prison with a family logo on the door. He realized that his uncle was happily using him as cheap labor while pretending to do him a massive favor. Leo knew he could not survive much longer under these unfair conditions, but he felt completely paralyzed. He wanted to scream, but the terrifying fear of destroying his family relationships kept him completely silent. The following weekend, Leo's parents hosted another large, bustling Sunday family dinner. The dining room was filled with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and lively conversation. Leo sat quietly at the edge of the table, picking at his food and pretending to be interested. Suddenly, Uncle Raymond stood up and tapped his wine glass with a fork to grab everyone's attention. "I want to make a special toast to my nephew Leo," Raymond announced proudly, gesturing toward him. "He has been working incredibly hard at the firm, helping us secure our family legacy for the future." The entire table erupted in cheerful applause, and Leo's parents beamed with immense pride. "Thank you, Raymond, for taking such good care of him," Leo's mother said, wiping a happy tear from her eye. Leo felt an intense knot of anger and frustration twist tightly in his stomach. He wanted to scream the truth to everyone, to reveal that his uncle was paying him less than minimum wage. Instead, he forced a tight, artificial smile and nodded his head just to avoid making a dramatic scene. He looked across the table at Raymond, who gave him a knowing, manipulative wink before taking a sip of wine. Leo realized that his uncle was using these family gatherings to publicly lock him into the trap. If Leo quit now, he would look like the ungrateful nephew who abandoned the family business. The suffocating pressure of expectations made him feel more isolated and trapped than ever before. On Tuesday evening, Leo finally escaped the office on time and met his close friend Maya at a quiet coffee shop. He collapsed into a chair, looking completely drained, and broke down as he confessed the entire situation to her. He told her about the 50-hour work weeks, the tiny paychecks, and the manipulative conversations with Uncle Raymond. Maya listened intently, her expression shifting from deep sympathy to absolute shock as Leo spoke. "Leo, you need to open your eyes," Maya said straight out, setting her coffee cup down firmly on the table. "This isn't a family business helping you out. Your uncle is actively exploiting your loyalty for cheap labor." Leo looked down at his hands, feeling a wave of shame. "But he's my uncle, Maya. If I leave, it will ruin Sunday dinners forever." "A real professional boundary does not ruin a healthy family," Maya countered gently, leaning forward. "He is using your DNA as a weapon to make you feel guilty for wanting standard legal respect." Her strong words acted like a harsh but necessary reality check, cutting right through Leo's deep confusion. For the first time in months, Leo realized that he wasn't being disloyal, he was just being taken advantage of. He could not change his uncle's greedy behavior, but he could certainly change his own situation. "You're right," Leo admitted, feeling a sudden spark of determination replace his old anxiety. "I need to get out of there." With Maya's encouragement, Leo pulled out his laptop right there in the cafe and opened up his old resume. It was time to stop feeling like a victim and finally start building a proper exit strategy.
The next morning,
Leo returned to work with a completely new focus and a quiet sense of purpose. He carefully updated his resume during his lunch breaks, hiding his computer screen whenever someone walked past his desk. He highlighted his recent experience in social media management and database organization, realizing how much he had actually learned. That night, he began applying to local marketing agencies, looking exclusively for roles with a fair market salary. Within a week, an established digital agency contacted him, requesting an interview for an associate position. Leo had to schedule the interview for 8 o'clock in the morning, right before his regular shift at the family firm. He wore his suit to the interview, making up a quick excuse to Uncle Raymond about a dentist appointment to explain his late arrival. The interview went exceptionally well, and the hiring manager was thoroughly impressed by Leo's extensive portfolio. 2 days later, while sitting at his desk, Leo received a notification on his phone that made his heart race. It was an official job offer with a competitive wage, standard medical benefits, and regular, predictable hours. He quietly stepped into the hallway to call the manager and formally accept the exciting new position. A massive weight lifted off his shoulders, and he felt an incredible surge of validation and relief. However, as he looked back through the glass door at Uncle Raymond's office, his excitement quickly turned to a nervous sweat. He had successfully secured his freedom, but now he had to face the absolute hardest part of his plan: quitting. On Friday afternoon, Leo walked resolutely into Uncle Raymond's office and placed a white envelope on the desk. Raymond looked down at the paper, his smile instantly vanishing as his eyes read the words, "2-week notice." "What is the meaning of this, Leo?" Raymond demanded, his voice suddenly losing all of its usual warmth. "I am resigning, Uncle Raymond," Leo said calmly, keeping his voice steady and professional. "I have accepted a position at another marketing agency that offers a fair market salary for my experience." Raymond slammed his hand on the desk, his face turning a deep, angry shade of red. "After everything I have done for you?" Raymond shouted, abandoning his polite uncle persona completely. "You are being incredibly ungrateful. I took you in when nobody else wanted you, and now you are betraying this family." The harsh words stung, but Leo refused to let the familiar wave of guilt paralyze him this time. "I appreciate the initial opportunity," replied Leo firmly, sticking to the professional script he had practiced. "But this is a career decision based on my financial needs, not a personal attack on the family. If you walk out that door, you are turning your back on your own blood," Raymond threatened, narrowing his eyes. Leo took a deep breath, stood up straight, and refused to back down under the intense psychological pressure. "My decision is final, Uncle Raymond," Leo said quietly, looking his uncle directly in the eyes. He turned around and walked out of the office, trembling slightly from the adrenaline, but knowing he had finally won his freedom.
6 months passed, and Leo's life changed in ways he never thought possible. At his new marketing agency, he was surrounded by a supportive team that genuinely respected his creative talents. He worked regular, predictable hours and received a fair paycheck that easily covered his rent and savings. The dark cloud of morning anxiety was entirely gone, replaced by a refreshing sense of professional confidence. In the beginning, the family dynamic was incredibly tense, just as Leo had feared it would be. Uncle Raymond had spent weeks complaining to relatives, trying to paint Leo as an ungrateful and disloyal nephew. However, Leo stayed completely silent, refusing to engage in the drama or speak poorly of his uncle.
Eventually, Leo's parents saw how happy and financially stable his son had become in his new role. They finally understood his difficult choice, realizing that a healthy job should never require the sacrifice of one's dignity. Tonight was another large Sunday family dinner, and the house was filled with the usual laughter and warmth. Uncle Raymond sat at the far end of the table, deliberately ignoring Leo and refusing to make eye contact. In the past, that cold silence would have broken Leo's heart and made him feel deeply guilty. Now, Leo just felt a profound sense of relief and a quiet, peaceful stillness in his chest. He had learned that setting firm professional boundaries is not an act of betrayal against the people you love. It was simply the only way to protect his career, his self-respect, and his long-term sanity.
Leo's story is a tough one, but it teaches us an invaluable lesson about life and language. Mixing business with family can be incredibly difficult, but setting professional boundaries is never an act of betrayal. Today, we learned some fantastic English phrases for workplace conflict, like handing in a 2-week notice and refusing to back down. You can find all the vocabulary of the story down below in the description box. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever worked for a family member or a close friend? How did you handle the situation without ruining the relationship? Let me know in the comments below. It's a great opportunity to practice your English writing skills. If you enjoyed this story and want to keep improving your English listening skills with real-world problems, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Keep listening, keep learning, and take care. I will see you in the next story. Goodbye.